Hello and welcome to episode 16 of The Formula. I'm your host, Nick Boddington. Today we're going to be talking about the greeting, creating rapport during the cold call, at the beginning of a cold call, and the sort of question that you ask to create that rapport. It's not about just asking about football. Hello and welcome to episode 16 of The Formula. Today we're going to be talking about the cold calling, your greeting process, and trying to create rapport with the prospect you're trying to sell to. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably in the same sort of business with us. You're interested in cold calling. You've got a sales centre. You've got sales staff, or it's just yourself. Now, when we make a cold call, we've got to remember one major thing. Selling is about people doing business with people. It's not about products. It's not about that person coming to you or you going to them and trying to sell something, that person coming to buy, sell you. People want to buy from people. They want to create a relationship with someone. They want to create a working relationship with someone. Don't be under any illusion that these people enjoy just shopping around all the time. Do you? Do you enjoy just going out shopping around? We all like to go and find sort of the best price or the best offer or the best service, but we really want to find that quickly. We're not interested in just sitting there all day. Time consuming. Time is a massive thing now, so you've got to really work hard in when you're making a cold call and how you actually get that person to be interested in what you're selling. Now, there are two types of rapport building. If you ask most people how to build rapport, they say, getting common ground, getting all these things. Are they interested in football? Do they have dogs? You both got kids. That's all great. I completely agree with that, but my sort of rule is that the prospect or the client, once you're doing business with them, they come to you about those sort of topics, and hopefully you have the same sort of interests and topics as they have, and that's going to help the rapport building process for further business going down the line. And you could be doing work together for years and years and years. But we're talking about a cold call now. This person doesn't know who you are. They've never spoken to you before. You've literally got their number from somewhere, and you've called them to try and actually sell your product. Now, don't go into a cold call thinking that you're going to sell to them. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take follow-ups. It's going to take information. It's going to take rapport building. It's going to take all sorts of things before you start speaking to someone. When we look at our email marketing, we get people coming in with their hands up saying, I'm interested in your product. I'm looking for one of your free trials. On average, 70% of it takes 6 to 8 weeks before we actually close that deal. In that amount of time, we've got follow-ups. They've got more questions about our service. They're trying to create the trust. There's lots of things that come into this. So going back to the beginning of the cold call, last week we talked about qualifying. So you've got through the gatekeeper, you've got Joe Bloggs on the phone, and now you're qualifying whether Joe Bloggs is actually the person that you need to speak to in regards to your service or product, and whether they actually would have any interest in your service or product. That could be, have they looked at it before? Do they use a product or service similar to yours? Why you're better and how you can provide a better product or service. The next bit is carrying on with that cold call. And I believe the things that are working in this business here is that by asking questions to do with their product or service and their business, the thing that a lot of the time you're going to be speaking to business people, it could be that person is obviously the buyer for a larger corporation or something. They're spending 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day doing that business. Now, you need to talk to them about it and create the rapport by asking questions to do with that business. If they think that you're just some guy who's called up just trying to sell them a product, you don't care about them at all, you just want that money and sell that product, they're not interested. They'll smell that a mile off. If you start asking them, did you see the football on Saturday or whatever, it's not authentic. They're going to smell it a mile off. So you need to come across in the way that you actually care about their business and how they can do better business by using your product or service. And then they'll create that trust in you. Then you'll achieve that common ground, and then your business relationship will move forward. So I'm going to go through a few questions here, and I want you to, at home, to look at this. Our questions obviously are for our business, but it's all very similar. So you need to think about the sort of questions that you would need to know about your prospect in order to get a complete idea of what that prospect's looking for. By asking these questions, you're not going to ask them in the way as question 1, 2, 3 up to 10 and say, okay, thanks sir, question 3 is this. But I want you to build them into that the conversation you're going to have with them. And this conversation could last 10, 20 minutes. It's very interesting how when you cold call someone and that person says, I haven't got the time to speak to you, and then you ask a few really good questions at the beginning, which gauge that person's interest, you can be on the phone for 25 minutes when this person didn't have any time to speak to you. So it's just a way of getting you off the phone. Very good salespeople know how to create that relationship and keep that person speaking and actually get something going on a cold call. So we already know the company name, we already know the contact. One of the questions that you need to ask is there anyone else involved in this decision-making process? This person may have told you that they're the one making the decision. It may not be. They might have a hierarchy. This comes back to one of the paranoia questions that we spoke about in episode 1, whereas you're further down the sales process. So often you suddenly find out that the person can't actually sign off the deal. They can't actually purchase your product or service. And in a way, it's like going back to the beginning again, because you've got to now speak to their boss and you've got to start the whole relationship. So you want to ask this question really, really early on and remember it, stick it into your CRM and go from there. One of our questions is obviously how many salespeople do you have? Ours is a sales product, so we know that we can sort of gauge the size of the opportunity by knowing how many salespeople are on there they have at their company. Because we're selling data, we want to get that each salesperson using our product so it creates the opportunity. So you have to think about how that would work your end. The target market, the sort of people your product would go out to. Have you purchased this product before? Now, this makes it easier going forward because it gives you something to talk about. If you find that the person you're trying to do business with is actually using a product similar to yours, so for instance, if we're selling data, that person says, I already buy data. I've been buying data for 6 years now. I buy it from so-and-so. This is great. It's opened a door, hasn't it? You know that this person could buy data from you. There is an opportunity. Things you need to remember are they might have a fantastic relationship with the other supplier. They may have been doing businesses with Jack, who is your competitor, for the last 6 years. It's going to be a longer process. James, our sales director, he was celebrating last month because he'd managed to actually gain a new business from a client that I had been trying to do at one of my old companies. He then took the account and he tried to close this guy. We managed to get a sale from him. And I think it took like 6 years to actually get this guy to move from the supplier he was using to using us. So you need to bear in mind that they can have fantastic relationships with people. What makes you better? What makes your product better? What makes your service better? And what makes you as an individual, what makes that person want to do business with you rather than the person they're already doing business with? So that's a great one. Have you purchased data before? When did you last purchase? So there are different types of products or services. It might be that yours is a subscription based, leasing a car or something like that. So you're going to have to wait until the renewal date. With things around our business, we're looking at our CRMs and things like that. It's on our yearly license, so it won't be coming up until the end of the year. So you could offer a free trial. We'll look at free trials another time because that's how we generate all our new business, through free trials. What sort of product did you purchase? So we're back to the product again. They're already using it. You found out how long they're using it for when they're up for renewal. It could be different types of products within one, or it could be a simple product. If we're talking about data or anything like that, what sort of volume did they buy? How often? And how successful was the product? Back at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about how people, they can't be bothered to keep going out there and looking for new services. So they might be using one. They don't know anything's out there is any better. They could be using it for the last 3 years and they've just auto-renewed. They're kind of happy with it. They've got better things to think about. You need to get across how your product or service is better. Is the product helping the business? Is it helping them? Is it helping their clients? How could your product do better? How often do they use the service? As I said, a subscription, or with ours, we're not subscription based, so we get a lot of repeat business, but it is from people who they might buy sporadically. Could be every month, could be every week. We'll deal with agencies or brokers, but we want to be getting them every day, every 2 days. So you need to ask those sorts of questions. How many people within the business will use the service or the product? Is it like a CRM system where there's multiple people using it? Is it stationary where they run out? Are there different people who buy that stationery in the business? Are there different people who go through all that sort of product? This is a great one. This is the best one out of them all. And in a way, actually, you could bring this in earlier. What are your desired goals from this product or service or your business? So even if it's a cold call or even if it's someone coming in through another source, you need to find out what their end goal is. So think about it this way, they're not buying a database from us. They're not buying a website from a website design company. They're buying a database because they want more customers. They're buying a website because they want to get to the top of Google and get more customers. So it's what happens after the activity that we're dealing with. What is their goal? Everyone's wanting to grow this business. Actually saying everyone, not everyone does. We speak to a load of people who just aren't interested in growing their business. They just want to keep it there. They've got a good lifestyle business. But that comes down to your conversation, your rapport building at the beginning to know where someone is. When are you looking at purchasing? When's the renewal date? Would you be interested in a free trial? When can I next speak to you? Do you have a budget in place? We have so many people, new salespeople here who come to the company who go through the whole process of different follow-ups. Let's say you're on the 12 follow-up and then there's this quote out there for $2,000 or something. And the person turns around and says, oh, well, I've only got a budget of 250 quid. Should have been asked at this point, the cold call. So those sort of questions that we've just been going over. Now, I know they're going to be different questions for your business, but in my head, if I was to ask all those questions during that process and I'm having a really good conversation with them, I get a really clear understanding of where this prospect is, where their business is, what their goals in the business are, and I can bring that back to how my product or service can actually benefit them. And during that call, it's all about questions. You're not talking about yourself. You're not talking about your product or how amazing your product is. They don't care. They're bored of it. They've got a million things to think about on their own side. You need to ask the questions which are going to get that person talking, creating the rapport really early on in the sales process. That will gain trust in you. It will show that you're really interested in what they're trying to do and their business. Then they're going to start asking you how you could help. And then you can actually have a proper conversation with it. So you're not selling anymore. You've gone past that. You know their business. They've created trust. Now you're just two human beings conversing about a particular topic and how you can make their life better. That's all it comes down to. You can even ask how it could be that if it's not their business, it could be that the person you're dealing with does have sign-off, but their goal is to make their manager really, really happy with them. How can your product or service make them be able to go to their manager and say, look at this, look what I've delivered. And their manager pat them on the back and say, hey, excellent, or you're getting a promotion or whatever it is. It could be any type of goal. You need to ask these questions and just go for it. Just have a conversation. Humans, people buy from people. One of the things with this follow-up and all these sort of things, don't go in there trying to sell to them. It's just not going to happen. You need to create this rapport. One of the rules is you don't know when someone's going to buy. You just need to be there when they decide to buy. That's great opening with a cold call, great follow-up, email follow-up, you calling every week or whenever they want it, setting different meetings to go through different areas. So when they do decide to buy, it could be 6 weeks, 12 months, could be any time, they think of you to be the person they go to get that product or service. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to subscribe, remember to follow. Thanks very much for watching this video. You know we are on Facebook, on Twitter, the Formula XYZ. Please subscribe to this. Very shortly we're going to have my website built, so you'll be able to go there, you'll be able to subscribe, and you'll be able to get podcasts, you'll be able to read articles, watch these videos. Thanks again. We'll see you on episode 17.